Happy Monday. Happy Monday. This is not Monday. This is Tuesday. That's what happened. I was off yesterday, but it was a holiday. It was Juneteenth. So let's just say that Juneteenth was a send stand still moment. I know y'all had a show all about Juneteenth. I know it was amazing. I missed it with Regina. And so it is happy Monday for me because I've been away at a family wedding, and but it is Tuesday for the rest of the world. Get excited. So I am so grateful that you got us here today on We Got Issues. It is the Force of Friendship. It's your girl, Katrina Harris Earl. We have an amazing episode today, you guys, talking about marriage and money, and just coming back from, I mean, honestly, it was a beautiful wedding. Her dress, I think it was my favorite wedding dress I've ever seen at any wedding. It was unbelievable. And the way I was like, okay, the stairs were made for this, for her gown. Okay. So it was just so beautiful. And so today we hear so many people talk about the wedding, but today we're going to talk about the marriage and money, how to make it go together. You have four amazing hosts today who all have happy, successful marriages. And I know money is a topic of conversation in all of our marriages. So we're going to talk about it, how to do it well, what happens when people don't do it well. We have two amazing guests. And so this is a great day for you to call in. How do you do it well? What has happened for you? Those of you that have done it well, have not done it well, 313-778-7600. You also can call in for some free marriage advice today from Eric and Dr. Shakisha. You are going to love the highlights and hearing more about them and about reading the books that they've written and about their show. I am grateful. They are friends through ministry, met them through my husband, and it's been a while since I have seen them in person, but I'm looking forward to meeting, having you guys meet them and introducing them to our Facebook audience. Well, there is a lot happening in the world, and this show is called We Got Issues. In every corner of the world, there are some issues, but the issue of the day, before we talk about our topic, is this dog on January 6th. Testimony today. I mean, seriously, I'm going to you. I know you're always jet setting all around. You're not able always to sit glued. This is like General Hospital when Luke and Laura got married, like glued to the TV. Look about it.
Katrina, I bet you nobody knows who Luke and Laura are except the four of us. When I tell you, I was like glued to the TV. My mouth just dropped. I just cannot believe the evidence and the dynamics. But when he ever threw that voter registration campaign worker under the bus like that, her mother and her, to the point where she had to leave her house because he just said her name. And I mean, I can't even talk. Shay, the woman's mother, and her grandmother, all of them are single children. Like her grandmother only has her mother only has her. So they're very protective of each other. After they showed how Trump berated the officials, then he went so low to berate the people who work at the polling places and say their name, give their address, give their phone number. Their address on his social media, y'all, and the phone number, the threatening to the I'm just, oh my God. And then Rosenberger, I know I'm saying his name wrong, out of Georgia, his wife was attacked. They've been high school sweethearts, been married 40 years, attacked his wife and his daughter-in-law, who's a widow. They lost their son. I mean, the stories are just, it's riveting. It is so riveting. But I'm going to tell you something, Katrina. You're not going to slide past the wedding. You're going to give us some more details on the wedding piece since we're talking about marriage and money today. I just want to let you know that for a minute. But the January 6th it's really interesting. It really is. It's not interesting. Is not the word. After Regina yesterday letting us know what goes on behind the scenes that we don't know nothing about, right? And then to see what we know is right in front of our face and we're choosing to ignore it. It's amazing to me. It's just mind-blowing.
I'm going to go back and listen to Representative Regina. I know Regina Goodwin was so
she brought it. She brought it.
I know she brought it. Lady Chrisette, I know you've been watching today. What's on your mind?
You know what? Actually, I did not watch today. I was out and about today with my sisters we went to the flower place to get flowers for my house. So that was, we call the
That's
Green
an all-day
Girls.
process.
My sister
Okay.
Karen. Yeah, my sister Karen and my sister Sharice, they have the most amazing, when I say amazing gardens, if you go to their houses, you go outside and you're just like, wow. And they got that from my mother. And my sister Karen has won like every award in her association. So it's like, I know the neighbor is like, okay, can somebody else win for having the most beautiful lawn, the most beautiful flowers? So my younger sister and I, we're the two that's kind of like, we're going to take Karen with us, and whatever Karen says, that's what we're going to get. So today I hung out with them. Today is my youngest sister's birthday. So I took her to lunch on today. So it was just really a day, didn't turn on any news, didn't listen, because sometimes you just got to decompress. Yesterday's show, just kind of had me riled up with all that's going on behind the scenes of Juneteenth, and just some of the things that they're not doing and all of that. So today was kind of an easy breezy, hot. Did I say hot? It's like 99 degrees here.
What?
99 degrees. I promise you, it is so you can absolutely fry eggs and bacon on the ground outside. That's how hot it is.
Wow.
In Michigan. So
107. It is 107 here. It's crazy. This is not Vegas. I don't live in Vegas.
Is it breaking records there, Katrina?
Yeah. Heat advisory. I haven't felt it because I got every fan and the air conditioning cranked up. But 107 at Anthony's like, I'm going on my walk. And he looked up and he was like, I guess I ain't going on my walk because early this morning it was already too hot to walk.
That early.
Wow.
That early.
Wow. That's hot.
Yeah. It's a problem. Sabrina, go ahead and unmute for us so we can hear you.
Well, I'm glad to see all the girlfriends in the house. Lots to talk about. I'm glad we have guests who are talking about marriage and money. It either makes you or breaks you. And so that is so good that we're talking about that today. Girlfriends are still moving every day. Yes, yes, yes. So we're excited. Chris, did you move today? Gloria, did you move today? Katrina, did you move today? I moved today.
Yes, ma'am. Today? I tagged you. I tagged you in my movement and asked you what you were doing. Okay. I did my 30 minutes on my Peloton, and I am at, you guys, I'm so proud. I'm at 3 minutes and 23 seconds with my plank.
Yeah.
Wow. That's really good.
I hate planks. That is
Here we go on another level. Okay. Now we got to move. Now we got to jump rope. Now we got to plank. Then we got a Peloton. You need to stop moving, okay? You just need to stop moving.
Confession. I rescheduled with my trainer for tomorrow. Tomorrow's my weigh-in day. It was supposed to be today. I was like, I've been to a wedding. I'm doing it tomorrow. Tomorrow.
How do you pronounce it? Is it Peloton or Peloton? How do you correctly say say it?
It's Peloton.
What is it?
Peloton. Don't correct the first lady.
If you believe that, ask me to say other things correctly.
Well, oh my gosh, we are going to bring our guests in, but yes, it is hot everywhere. We also went to the African American Museum on Juneteenth, and Sabrina was like, look for my husband's name. So we were up in there looking for the name. I was like, 88. We found the silver medal. We were keeping it moving. Kenny was like, where's my gold medal? Okay. Right. Literally, his name is right in between Carl Lewis, Kenny Monday, Carl Lewis. I mean, it is just, I'm telling you, my friends. And I will talk more about the wedding, but it was literally picturesque, and not just picturesque, one of those Hollywood weddings that you wonder how long it's going to last. Like Dr. Wiley, he is so in love with his gorgeous wife, Crystal. And my cousin Beverly introduced Anthony and I together, and it's just they're gonna have some pretty kids. When I tell you they pretty, they kids gonna be so pretty. They kids gonna be so pretty. And I said it's nothing like, you know, most people have to rent a car, but they drove away and they own Bentley. Okay, so
Okay.
I was like, okay, when people, so it was just unbelievable. Well, I want to bring in these amazing guests 4 minutes before our break and the first break. And so I'm going to bring them in quickly. Dorothy, money is the number one issue married couples argue about. 86% of couples who got married in the last 5 years started out in debt, y'all. The higher a couple's debt burden, the more likely they are to argue about money. Couples in healthy marriages are much more likely to talk about their money dreams and make long-term money goals. So I want to introduce you to Eric and Dr. Shakisha Hylick. They are multi-award-winning TV producers of Becoming a Millionaire Power Couple TV show, the co-founders of Ultimately You, marriage and relationship success strategists, financial service advisors, generational wealth builders. They are authors, podcast hosts. You're going to hear so much more. They have so much good stuff to talk about. But before they are here, I'm so happy. I'm so happy that you are here. Thanks for that round of applause. And so the first thing we want you to do is just brag on you. Of course, Shakisha, I've spoken to you the most. I'm going to start with your husband. That might be a good thing for healthy, successful marriages. It can go either way, I know. But Eric, Eric, would you please just brag on you and your wife and introduce yourself to our audience?
First of all, by bragging, I can just also show you for those who are on the live. This is one of our awards for winning the Becoming the Millionaire Power Couple show. This is our award of distinction.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. We're so happy and proud of that. But yes, we do have a TV show called Becoming the Millionaire Power Couple show, and we're working on season 2 now. It's called The Retreat we're having here. We're very excited about that. But we have about 5 books out now. 5 books. Wow. We have a podcast that's been all over the world. We have 85 shows on that. We're everywhere on social media. And we're just happy to be able to help couples to win in their marriage and also build successful businesses and strong generational wealth. So that's just a little bit about us.
That is so good and so important. Always been important, but during this time, really important. Dr. Shakisha, introduce yourself to our tribe.
Well, hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Shakisha. I am a retired pharmacist, and I'm now able to step into my passion, which is really helping couples build that strong marriage while they're building that thriving business and build generational wealth for their family. So I am just excited to be a living example of what just stepping out on faith will do. I went to school to be a pharmacist, and God made it such that I can work full time with my husband, which is something I prayed to be able to do on a regular basis. Now, it didn't come the way I wanted it to come, but I'm thankful that we're able to do it.
Excellent. Well, tell us, we have about a minute before we go to break. Tell us about your books. For the radio audience, I'm going to spell their last name Hylick so that you can go and look up each of the books. Tell us about your books. Okay, looks like I talked just to the break. Get excited. So that's where we're going to start when we come back next time, is tell us your books and how we can find them. So as we lean into this conversation, we will be right back. We are talking about marriage and money with the Hylicks. All right, we'll be right back. Ain't getting no younger. Oh my gosh, you guys, we are here today. Thank you so much, Michael. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We are here with Eric and Dr. Shakisha Hylick, and we are talking about marriage and money. Nearly half of Americans, 48% who are married or living with a partner, say they argue with the person over money. Most of those fights are about spending habits, with 60% saying that one person spends too much or the other is too cheap. The remaining fights are pretty evenly split between someone being dishonest about money, how to divide the bills, and other types of money fights, which could be anything from disagreements over forgetting to pay a bill or a couple's financial priority in life. This is an important topic because, I mean, the institution of marriage and having a successful, when marriages work, it is so beautiful. And today, you guys, we have the Hylics. They are visionaries of Marriage Can Win, a platform founded to help couples who, while dominating their professional lives, are faltering in their personal ones. The Hylics are enthusiastic about maintaining the sanctity of marriage and believe that people can avoid divorce in most cases. You guys, this is an important show. Share this show, whether they're watching live or watching later, because we really hope to be able to impact and support marriages. The books that you've written, co-authors of the book Wife Material, Girl Get Up and Win. I love that. Marriage Can Win, and Struggling to Keep the Vows. So I'm going to you, Shakisha. Can you talk to us about just talk to us about your books? Which one is they're all near and dear to your heart. They're like babies, I know, but just share with us about your books and maybe where to start, which one we should start with.
I would honestly say Marriage Can Win, because that is a transparent view into some of the challenges that we had in marriage. We had to
Your volume
recognize.
got a little bit low. It was
Okay.
perfect before, and now it's a little bit low. I don't know if the earpiece
Okay.
adjusted at all.
Okay. Can
Is
you
it
hear me
just
a little
me?
bit better now?
It's
No, it's
low.
low.
It's low,
Okay.
a
Let
little
me
bit low.
see. Can you hear me a
Just
little bit better now?
it's a little bit
Can you hear
better.
me a little bit better now?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. Yeah, with Marriage Can Win, that was stepping outside of the box, being transparent and putting everything on the table, saying, look, we're a couple, we're serving in ministry, but we're struggling privately. And we had to be willing to
Right.
say, you know what? We had challenges in those three greatest areas, which we call the Great Divide: challenges with communication, finances, and sex. And then we're serving in church, but didn't want to ask anybody in church, how do you overcome this? So we had to put pride aside, put titles aside, and say, look, we've been helping other people, but we ourselves need help. So that was the beginning of the journey, just, being transparent about the struggles, and then also sharing the solutions that we were provided with when we went through counseling, went through mentors, and said, you know what, we're sure that other couples are struggling in the same area. So just wanted to share that
Mhm.
wisdom with them.
I want to ask, did you guys get counseling at church, or did you go outside of church? And Lady Chrisette, I'm going to go to you next to talk about that. But I know that can be challenging to talk about marital challenges, even though,
Mhm.
with especially when you're active in ministry, sometimes one of the spouses is not comfortable airing your stuff with people that they know, even in the church.
Well, what we
Eric,
did with we
or go
talked to
ahead.
our pastor, and then she referred us to a couple in ministry outside of our church. So it was like a third party, but it was like, okay, they're not going to judge you. They don't even really know you. So let's start from square one and start building. So that's what she told
Mhm.
us. Whatever.
I'm going to go back to you, Eric, next as an expert, but I'm going to go to the girlfriends. Each of these girlfriends has been married
Mhm.
successfully. And
Mhm.
let's just go in order of marriage years. But Chrisette, Lady Chrisette, talking to you, because I know you can speak to this with a 30 plus year successful marriage, but I know you also can speak to it as a first lady who has had to support so many couples through this. Can you just, whatever you want to lend to the conversation about marriage and money, and how to do it right and well, and what happens when it's not going so well?
Okay, well, one of the things I will say that's really evolved in the Black church, I mean, back in the day, everybody went to the pastor for everything and thought the pastor knew every single thing, how to solve every single issue, every single problem. And when you think about it, that's one of the reasons why, couples that pastor, sometimes they had their private struggles too, because if you think about it, the pastor having to, counsel 24, that's a 24/7. It could be a 24/7 thing, but I think nowadays it's great because we at our church, we have several people that are counselors. They have literally gone to school, got the book knowledge, and they are professional. Back in the day, the pastor listened to it, let's pray about it, and y'all just work it out. But now, I think that it is more acceptable to talk about having therapists. And I think many pastors have therapists that they know, that they trust, that they send their people to, and no longer do they feel like they have to solve every issue. And I think, when it comes to, the finances, I think one of the things that is so important to know is that you need to know where your forte is. Not everybody is good at finances. Everybody is not good at handling money. And I think that's where the problem comes when couples think it has to be 50-50. No, sometimes I'm going to handle the money because that's what I do well. And being able to say, you know what, I'm okay with that because I know my spouse, whether it is the wife or the husband, does it well, being able to relinquish that and know that you can trust that they're going to do the right thing. So I just think that that's one issue that couples, if they learn how to say, you know what, I'm just not good at that. So yeah, my husband handles it, or I'm good at that, my wife handles it. And I know I know couples that the wife, she is over that checkbook. Her husband has to go to her and ask for money, and they're okay with that. And then I know couples where the husband manages everything and she's okay with that. So I just think that makes a happy marriage, when you're okay with what you're not good at.
Right.
Eric, I want to go to you and say,
That's good.
when you are in trouble in this area in your marriage, just talk to us.
Thank you.
One of the things that we've heard is reaching out to a pastor, getting a therapist, getting a referral. What advice can you offer?
When it comes to, oh, can you hear me okay?
We got you.
So when it comes to finances or just any issues in
Oh,
the
now your
marriage?
volume is low.
When it comes to marriage, are you talking about finances or anything in marriage? Can you hear me?
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. So now the question is that pertaining to the finances or any aspect?
Well, specifically as it relates to finances, but oftentimes we know in a marriage, one thing, when there's one area that's challenged, it, as you said, it affects the sex life, it affects the kids, it affects every other area. And so just wanting to lean in and see where, offer some advice, maybe specifically as it relates to money when that is challenging in a marriage.
Well, number one, it's kind of like if you're going into marriage, if you don't know what a successful marriage is, and you have no examples and you have no premarital counseling, or if you haven't been imparted to by your parents, which 9.5 times out of 10 you haven't, then seek some resources. There are so many resources out there. I mean, like that's why we provided a lot of. We even have an academy. We have books that can teach you about, really the most important aspects: communication, finance, and sex. Communication being the most important aspect. You really, before you get married, you need to have those discussions about what your expectations are. A lot of times we're so happy about the marriage, the wedding, we don't even know what to do afterwards. We haven't talked about where you want to live, where you want to have children, what kind of home you want to have, where you want to, when you want to retire, how many kids you want, if they're going to college, how you're going to plan for college. Those are the important aspects before going into marriage. But now that you're in marriage, you still need to have a maintenance check. You may say, oh, we're fine. Well, no, you need to have a maintenance check, because communicating, that's why we have assessment. We have books, workbooks, that you can do an assessment to see where you are right now, because you'll find out some things. Oh, wow, I didn't know that's how you felt. Find out something about my wife. I didn't know that's how you felt. I didn't know that this was a challenge in our relationship, but you never said anything. Because a lot of times our spouses will tell us what they think we want to hear. rather than what's really going on. And that's what, that's why effective communication is important. Then there's always some strategies on how to communicate, because a lot of times we get into disagreement. We're too busy trying to overcome each other and up each one. We can't, we start getting high emotions and low intelligence, because when your emotions are high, you don't know what you're saying. You make all of a sudden foul language coming out, and you say some hurtful things, and you can't bring it back. So when you get to that level, you got to call time out, and then you got to go to the non-verbal aspect of communication. That's when you get a pen and a piece of paper, and that's where you start writing down, okay, this is my issue, right? And then the other person will come around and say, this is my issue, right? And then you say, well, let me come up with two ways that we can resolve it. And I write those down. And the other spouse says, comes up with two ways of resolving the issue. Then we come together and we read those issues. And then we say, well, let's try this one first. Then we have, so what it is, it gives you a strategy, a methodology that prevents you from yelling at each other and that disagreement getting out of control. That's one strategy. But that really is very important when it comes to communicating about what's going on in your marriage. Taking the time out, seeking resources, finding out, and that's just the communication aspect. But education is really the most important aspect. Because, if you had known, if you're going to have children, that you can start when the day that the child is born, that you can really set that child's life for the rest of his life. You can set him up financially for the rest of his life. There are products out there that by the time that child becomes 16, ready to go to college, you can go into that product and pull out finances and don't have to pay it back to pay the education.
Eric, we want to hear about that. So many people want to know. And if you haven't been able to do that for your children, you can certainly do that for your grandchildren. It is never too late to set up the next generation for success that you're talking about. So when we come back from the break, Eric, I love what you said about resolution. That is so important. I also want to ask you, before we talk about that, what do you do when one spouse is willing and the other is not as willing to have that kind of communication to try to remedy the issues? So we will be right back with Eric and Dr. Shakisha Heilig. You're here with the Force of Friendship, Gloria, Katrina, Chrisette, and Sabrina. We'll be right back.
Yes.
We are talking about love today. We are talking all about it. We are talking all about it. We have today Eric and Dr. Shakisha Hylick, and they are just amazing authors. They are great friends that I've met through my husband. It's been so long. I mean, I feel like I don't know how many years it's been since we saw each other. I can't wait until we can break bread together again. But I want you to definitely talk more just a few minutes about how to set up yourself financially so you don't have these same issues and challenges. But Sabrina, I'm going to go to you. Success in marriage and money, raising kids, and just talk about it. You've taught me so much, and so what can you what can you share on this subject?
Yeah, I think every family dynamic. Thank you guys so much for being with us. It's interesting because all of our facial expression, when you talk about money, it's serious, okay? We ain't laughing, we ain't smiling. It's like, we're like, okay, lean in, money, we're serious about it. I used to, when I was young and married, it was like, don't play with my mama, my man, or my money. Those three things are off limits, okay? And so it's just necessary. And all dynamics are different in families. Everybody's family structure is different. And like Chrisette said, some men take charge, some women take charge, whatever works. But I think honesty for sure, the truth, you have to talk about it, what's working, what's not working, and have systems in place, systems that work for the family. Like my girlfriends, we early in the marriage, one of my girlfriends, like, her husband does all the banking, all the money. And so at that point in our marriage, I took care of everything. And honestly, it's gone back and forth throughout the marriage. Sometimes I handle it, sometimes he handled it, depend on where we are and what we're doing. But she just thought that was just that I would pull out the credit card for dinner, that I would write the check. She's like, you do that? I mean, that was just so foreign to her because it was so different. It was so different. So I think you got to be true to you. Do what works for your household. Not looking to the left, not looking to the right, but definitely doing what works for the family and having systems in place. And it's so interesting because as the kids are in college, they never call Kenny for the money. It's always me. It's like, call your daddy, okay? So it's interesting how it all works. But you got to do what works for your family's dynamics. But talk about it with your spouse for sure. Got to be on one accord with him.
Today, Howard Hendricks, who married us, Anthony's best friend, he said, how are the Banks doing? Okay, with a name like Banks. He said, I saw them Banks on social media. He saw you. So with a name like Banks, we all know, okay, the Banks are banking. We are we have learned so much from you guys, Gloria. I know that you've gotten to a certain level, but it hasn't always been there. How did you get there? What have you learned? Not just one marriage, two marriages. What can you share about marriage and money, doing it right and doing it wrong?
Yeah, that's a very interesting piece because when you've had a bad marriage, we had preconceptions that come into the second marriage that we had to be very clear about, very, very open about the conversation. And, one thing I would say is that you need to know your spouse's personality when it comes to money. You have a personality and then you have a money personality. And I think people talk about, some people spend money, some people don't. Do you like to commingle? Do you like to be very divided? What works for you? We have this system, we laugh about it, but it's really how we do it. Like, I always pay for breakfast and he always pays for dinner, always. And he always says he's got the worst end of the stick. And I said, I like it that way. I like it. You always pay for dinner. He said, you always go to some cheap diner and get some biscuits. And you always want to go. But it's like the personality that works for us. We laugh a lot about it, but we talk a lot about it. And I think it's the communication that makes a big difference. And I also think because of our personalities, some people's personality, you need to have your own. Some people's personality, that's not important to them. So you have to really understand what the person, like his mother tells this story about when he was a little boy growing up and the ice cream truck would come. And when the ice cream truck, all the kids would run to the ice cream truck. And Ken would run to the ice cream truck and he'd go in his pocket and he'd get his quarter and he'd look at that quarter and he's like, no, I don't want no ice cream. You know, he was like, and that's the way he is today. That's the way he'll look at it like, nah. That me, I'd have been all over. Let me get something for you. Let me get something for you. Let me get something for you. But that's the personality. So you have to learn how to live within their personalities and appreciate their personalities as opposed to putting someone down because of their personalities. It's how you work. But you can't deal with that if you don't have open communication. If you're always looking for fault, you will always find fault. If you're always looking for collaboration, you will always find collaboration.
That is so good. So good. So good. Seriously. So, Dr. Shakisha, I'm going to go back to you. And I mean, what you said about just who you are, how it goes way back to Ken at the ice cream truck. Clearly, that money conversation. How do you, because not everybody's married, so this is an important thing for people who you are when you're single, you bring that into the marriage. And so, just I don't even know what question I'm asking, Dr. Shakisha. How can you help when you know you have a challenge, a problem that you're bringing into the marriage? How do you shift that? What advice do you offer to the husband or to the wife when they're in that situation?
We honestly had to have the conversation in regards to where we were and where we wanted to be and come up with a plan of how we were going to get there. He's always been good as far as managing money. And for me, I wasn't. I would run up a credit card bill. I'd have the money to pay it, but I was in college. I was like, I'm just not paying it. But when he started seeing those letters pile up saying, hey, you're what's going on with these bills, we had to have those serious conversations. We had to learn to be vulnerable and transparent. He's like, look, if we're going to get married, all of this stuff is going to fall on me. We need to get your credit straight. We need to get your bills on track. And he explained to me why it was important. No one ever explained to me. I just knew when I was younger, I needed something. I bought it, asked mommy, asked daddy, or what have you. And then I was coming into the relationship with that same mentality. And he's like, no, it's not like that. You mess around, get our lights cut off and all kinds of stuff. We can't do that. So we had to really start having those conversations. And he was strong in it. But what he started doing, he said, look, let me teach you, even though this isn't your strength, I want you to understand. So should something happen to me or you need to take care of something, I'm out of town, I want to make sure you understand. It doesn't mean it's going to become your strength, but at least have an understanding of what needs to be done. And he started walking me through the process, help get my credit straight, get everything on tack. And then that way we could move forward. So I had to learn the decisions I was making, it was going to impact him. And he had to do the same. But that's where you have those conversations. That's when you have that vulnerability. That's when I had to expose that secret account that I had, just in case. So that
I
was
want to
important.
Well, Eric, I want to go back to you and talk about, we have about 3 minutes before this break and then the balance of the time. How do we shift? We're in a time, everything costs more, inflation. There's never a better time to really look at money. And during the time of lock-in, everybody looked at it. And so what are some money moves we should be making right now in our marriage that can make a difference and set us up, set our children up, set our grandkids up? I know that's a whole conversation in and of itself. Where can we start?
Well, that's what we do. We have a team of 18 agents, 9 different states. That's what we do. We help couples to do just that. We help them to do in the times of recession, when we keep hearing that scary word recession. Everybody's got their 401ks, they got their mutual funds, stocks, and cryptocurrency. Even crypto has lost about $20,000 in value. Well, there are products, like I said, there are products that you can have like $100,000 in there and 100,000 in your 401k. And all of a sudden the recession hits, lost 60,000 in your 401k. Well, there are products where you don't lose a thing. And actually you can increase 1 or 2% while everybody's crying because they lost their retirement. There's products that you can increase. But that's when you got to get the education piece. You got to find out about that. You got to find out about living benefits, retirements, all these things. So when those unexpected emergencies, and right now we're in a time where you don't know what's going to happen. You think government, where private sector, jobs, personal ministry, you don't know what's going on. You got to have yourself set up for emergencies, unexpected incomes, job loss, medical issues. all those things you have to have planned and in place. And that's what we do. We help couples and we talk about those things, set it up where, hey, those emergencies come, we're set. Everybody's crying, we sitting pretty because when they look at their 401k, their stocks, oh man, we had a client real quick. He lost $800,000. He said he came to us and he was like, "My goodness, I'm tired of losing all this money. Can you help me?" I said, "Sure. This is what you need to do." When I told him how to put this money in a certain fund, he was like, "Oh my God!" And then 6 months later, he's like, "Wow, I am so thankful because I didn't tell I was telling my partner about this and they didn't do it. They lost another $600,000 in their portfolio. I mean, these are millionaires out of New York." And so when we tell them about these things, they're like, "Wow, we didn't know this." And I'm like, typically the 1%ers know all about it. That's why you have all these politicians who make millions of dollars and don't pay any taxes because they know
So
the
what I'm
secret.
hearing is how important we are going to share their social media when we come back from break. What I'm hearing is how important it is. You need a professional. When you need professional help for your marriage, there needs to be someone you go to. And when you need professional help for your finances, you can't fix it together. If you got yourself into it, you need professional help to get you out of it. So we will be right back with Eric and Dr. Shakisha Hylick. They are breaking it down. We're talking marriage, money, communication, sex, all that, all that. Okay. Money affects it all. We'll talk to you in a moment. Yes, a little Kim, a little Kim. So we are talking with Eric and Dr. Shakisha Hylick. I just wanted to share their website, marriagecanwin.com. I believe our social media audience can see it, but you guys have so many resources on this website. The Marriage Can Win Academy, you can find out more about their podcast. We love supporting those and would love to have you share our show with your listeners as we share your show with our listeners, because this is so good. The issues, so good. But I love the checklist. Single, looking to build. You have something for that. Overcoming infidelity. Before you say I do. Communication, finances, sex, effective communication. There's just so much there. And so I'm going back to you, Dr. Shakisha, to talk about the when you've done it well. When I mean, you guys truly are an example of having made some mistakes and then gotten better. at it. And so I just would love for you to talk about a couple of maybe couples you've worked with that have been able to pivot, because there's nothing like being able to have hope when you are in debt and you work your way out of it, when you have made mistakes that feel like it's, you know, unforgivable, and maybe it's even ended in divorce, but someone has had an opportunity for a second chance. Any examples that come to mind that you can share?
Well, one that really, really sticks out there, we had a couple, I think they were in their 60s on their third marriage, and they're getting ready to get married. She had a place in Florida and he had a place in California, and they're getting ready to get married. So he's asking her, say, okay, so you moving here? And she's like, no, aren't you moving here? So there's certain basic things that you need to communicate about. They were so accustomed to being individuals, they were having a difficult time coming together as one, even having a basic conversation in regards to where you're going to live. So there, you would assume that as they get older, that would they would naturally be wiser, but they were not. They were still having that same issue in communication, and they were taking it from one relationship to the next. There was unresolved issues that they had not dealt with. So we had a
Mhm.
conversation with them and help them map out more effective ways to communicate, more effective ways to handle their finances. Now we understand everybody's household may be different. One spouse may be stronger than the other, but there are certain conversations you need to have, just like we have that checklist in regards to where you want to live, what you want to do with your finances, and being vulnerable with those areas in which we're not strong in. So helping them come to a point where they're communicating with one another instead of just kind of talking at one another and kind of half listening. You had, well, one of the parts of effective communication, you got to listen just as much as you were talking, because you got to listen to understand, not listen to just respond. That's what we call our jump rope mentality. You're just so ready to jump in, you're not even really listening to what your partner's saying.
Mhm. I wanted to share for the radio audience. You can follow Eric and Dr. Shakisha on IG at Dr. Shakisha H. That's SAKEISHA. So Dr. Shakisha H. And at Eric Heilig 88, Eric Heilig 88. And I know we can also follow you on marriagecanwin.com. You can find all the different ways of following them. I'm going to bring the girlfriends in. Well, I want to say Mardise said, my money is in a fixed account. I'm not aggressive. But she says her husband is extremely aggressive with his 401k. So, what happens, either of you, whoever wants to go for that, when one person is like, oh my gosh, we can make so much money, let's pour it all in, and somebody else is like very, very, very conservative, even not agreeing in their investment strategies? Who?
You want to handle that one?
Uh, is that to us? Okay.
Yes, yes,
Well,
for
yeah.
you guys.
So the safer route is having an index product, so that way you can still grow aggressively without the risk. Because the index product is what we call zero is your hero. So if the market crashes or goes down, you stop at the floor. Where everybody in your 401k, your mutual funds, when they go and they start losing money, you lost your money. We're here, you stop at zero, so you don't lose any money. And then when the market picks back up, you go up. So that person who lost $60,000, they got to come right back to zero, just to get started. Where you left off when the market picks back up, you're not growing. So you've made over $100,000 more, and they're back at zero. So there are
Mhm.
ways that you can get that aggressive growth without the risk. And then a lot of people don't know about that, but that is something that you can do. So there are products out there that you can do both the conservative and the aggressive.
I do want to say this and go back to you, Shakisha. Some marriages don't work and they end in divorce, and one spouse is left maybe not so prepared. And so how do you address that in a marriage? I don't know, on the front end, when with a prenup, or on the back end, so the person is taken care of. That's a slippery slope, because you're not in a marriage thinking it could fail, but the reality is some marriages do. So how do you what would you say about that in terms of being sure you're covered financially for your future?
Well, I mean, of course, we always tell our clients that you do need to make sure you have a plan. And with that plan, you need to be clear on what it is you have and where it is the two of you are going together as well as individually. Because I understand that there's some hurt and some pain from what's happened in the previous relationship, but you want to make sure you use wisdom. What didn't work well in the last relationship? What areas can you improve in? Understanding that both people are going to have their levels of imperfection and areas that they need to improve in. But you, of course, I'm going to tell them protect yourself and use wisdom, but make sure when you're doing that, it's not from a place of past hurt where you're now looking at that person and treating them like they're your ex. What can you do going forward? You know what you want to do with your finances. You know where you want to go. There's a plan that you want to put in place, but have a conversation also with your potential mate and see where it is they want to go, because sometimes, like you said, you have two different money personalities. You got that spender, you got that saver, and you, if that's the case, that may be when you need to have those separate accounts, one that's going to take
Mhm.
care of you and what you want to do, and they're going to have to be able to do the same. I'll usually caution couples, don't hide anything. If something happens to your spouse, you need to be able to at least get
Right.
access that
Yeah.
to those accounts to be able to
Right.
take care of it. Doesn't mean that you have to control it, but just have knowledge of what's going on.
Right.
That's so good
Mhm.
because it can be death.
Mhm.
It doesn't have to be divorce. There's so
Yeah,
many
Right.
reasons.
correct.
Right.
In just a couple more minutes that we have, how do you pass on a healthy money mindset to your children if maybe you were not raised that way? I've heard you. You know, I could have passed this to the girlfriends because I've heard them talk about their kids and the different money mindset among their children. And so, what would you say to that, Eric?
Yes, that's part of that strong family foundation is imparting into your children. I'll take our kids for example. I teach them all about finances. I teach them about um, budgeting, income, outgoing, mortgages, financing a house, financing cars, saving. I teach them on, about the products that they have. I said right now the whole family's set up. They have these index products. So when my daughter graduates, if she wants to go and purchase something, she can reach into, to those products and pull out money tax free. So I teach them all about the products. I teach them all about finances. I teach them all about, you know, building together. And that's what you look for in a spouse. You look for a spouse that you
Mhm.
can build a life and build generational wealth together with. You have all these conversations. So I impart all those things about them. I impart about business. I impart them about finances, school, graduating, all those things, debt, and I talk to them about sex. So everything that I learn, I impart into my kids. I
That
impart
is
them as
Great.
soon as
so
they,
that is
yes,
so good.
everything.
I know you guys know from your TV show and podcast that this is such like you just get into the conversation and the show is coming to an end. Marriage marriage canwin.com is the website. You are here with Eric and Dr. Shakisha Hylick. You can go to their website and find out how you can get their books, how you can find out more about it. We're so grateful. This was some great information to bring to our tribe. We know that we will want to have you guys come back and be a part of what we're doing and how we are dealing with these real life issues. We will be back here tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in today on We Got Issues with the Force of Friendship. Go to theforceoffriendship.com and be sure you follow us there. Bye bye.
Bye.